We have fewer democracies in the world today than we did 15 years ago. Fewer. Not more, fewer. Just remind him, I wrote the bill on the environment, on the environment, on the environment. Why would I not be for it? That's a serious question, right? Is it acceptable to me? Come on.
Because of the actions we've taken, things have begun to change. End of quote. In the past 3 weeks,
I'm especially honored to share the stage with Brittany and Jordan and Nathan and Margaret Catherine. I love those barrettes in her hair, man. I tell you what, look at her. She looks like she's 19 years old, sitting there with her, like a little lady in a race car.
Are you retarded? It's not a rhetorical question. Are you retarded?
No, I'm
Hey, what's up, everybody? Jazzbro Gonzo here. Another What's Next. To quote Cousin Eddie, you know, it's the gift, oh, should I say, well, you know, Clark, it's the gift that just keeps on giving. Well, that is Dementia Boy. Yes, that is one Joe, Dementia Joe, sniffing kids, Joe, gaff machine, Joe shoves leg down his throat, Dementia Boy. And if we look at anything that 2021 has given us, oh, it's a plethora of memes, of comments, of stupidity, of ignorance, of a dementia-riddled old man who we are seeing collapse firsthand. But among the many comments that Joe Dementia has made, he made one that went viral on Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday. This comes out of Breitbart. 2020 video of Joe Dementia saying George Kirby, yes, the vaunted Saint George Kirby. You know, that wonderful saint who had all those peaceful protests back in 2020. Remember those? Death accomplished more than MLK's goes viral on his birthday. Oh my. On the campaign trail in June 2020, President Joe Dementia, then candidate Joe Dementia, claimed that Martin Luther King Jr.'s death did not make much of an impact as the death of George Kirby. Quote, even Dr. King's assassination did not have the worldwide impact of George Kirby's death did, Biden said during a campaign event June 11th, 2020. Biden said that social media videos of Kirby's death made more of an impact on social justice issues. But let's hear it from the man himself.
Even Dr. King's assassination did not have the worldwide impact that George Floyd's death did. Because just like television changed the civil rights movement for the better when they saw Bull Connor and his dogs ripping the clothes off of elderly black women going to church and fire hoses ripping the skin off of young kids. That all those folks around the country who didn't have any black populations heard about this, but they didn't believe it, but they saw it. So my point is that I think people are really realizing that this is a battle for the soul of America. Who are we? What do we want to be?
We want to be a free nation. We want to be a liberty-loving, freedom-loving, God-fearing nation, not a divisive nation because of the media, because of the Joe Dementia administration. But I'm going to get ahead of myself of my thoughts, but let's continue. At the time, Dementia used the conversation about historical moments in the civil rights movement and George Kirby's protest to focus on presidential campaign, of course he did, and that of President Donald Trump. Quote, I think people are realizing that this is a battle for the soul of America, he said. Who are we? What do we want to be? How do we see ourselves? What do we think we should be? as president, Dementia spent Martin Luther King Day at home, MLK Day at home in Delaware, as White House released a pre-recorded video of this on the occasion. Quote, "It's not just enough to praise him. We must commit to his unfinished work to deliver jobs and justice, to protect the sacred right to vote, the right for which all other rights flow," Biden said. Surprised, are we? Well, you shouldn't be. After all this time, you shouldn't be. We can go back 30 years of Joe Dementia opening his mouth and shoving his leg down his throat. But on this, for him to compare George Kirby to Martin Luther King Jr. in how the impact of his death occurred worldwide. Now, if I will play devil's advocate, I could say, hey, well, you know what? Kirby's death had more of an impact because of social media. More eyeballs were able to see what happened. Now, that is a point, a valid one. But when it comes to historical in what Martin Luther King Jr. did and where we stand now because of the sacrifices he made, ultimately getting killed, assassinated. Because that same year, RFK would be assassinated as well. That decade was a very torrent, a very horrific decade in this nation's history, of course, beginning with the assassination of John F. Kennedy. But we've seen the impact over the last 50, 60 years after the death of Martin Luther King Jr., of how blacks have progressed regarding votes, regarding jobs, what have you. And of course he would bring up Donald Trump, being that minorities had the lowest unemployment rate in this nation's history, not since Reagan under Donald Trump. But no, let's not facts get in the way of feelings. Because as we all know, the vaunted saint, George Kirby, was so well, praised and revered. Even though this was a man who had a long and extensive criminal history. But no. Once again, my feelings before facts. We all know what Martin Luther King Jr. means to us as a people, as a nation, in the world sense of what Martin Luther King Jr. means. George Kirby, who was a criminal, lived as one, died as one, because of stupidity of one police officer, the ignorance of one police officer, kicked off a series of wonderful, peaceful protests, as we all saw in 2020. Yes, to the tune of over $5 billion in damages, led by Antifa and Black Lives Matter. But no. As I say again, let's not get facts get in the way of my feelings. And with that being said, I'm Jazz Berganzo. This is What's Next. Want to see more just like this? Please leave a comment below, like it, share it, subscribe to it. And we'll catch you guys next time. Peace.